What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Hot Toys 1/6 scale figure unboxing, and today we are talking about Marvel's Avengers Endgame deluxe version Hawkeye. And this is not only just Hawkeye but also the Ronin, and this figure is looking sweet. You can see the hooded Ronin Hawkeye, Clint Barton, played by Jeremy Renner, on the front cover there. See a little bit of the Avengers A. You can see the Avengers Endgame logo in the middle. Hot Toys Hawkeye Deluxe version on the front. Hawkeye Deluxe down the bottom. On the side, a gold little reflective Avengers logo. Hawkeye logo, same thing at the top. Legal information around the back. But yeah, let's not waste any time. Let's slide off this cover, see what we're working with. Woohoo! Oh boy, I can't wait to pop this bad boy open and get a closer look at this figure and everything that it comes with. Now, I've never gotten a Marvel 1/6 scale figure that has like a swap out outfit, so that's gonna be interesting, trying to get some clothes onto this figure. I've never had to do that, but can't be that hard, right? But let's take everything out of the box. So I don't know if you can see there, in the instructions, it comes with a little Ronin extra tag because on the display base it says Hawkeye. And some people were like, huh, it says Hawkeye on the display base, but this is Ronin. Shouldn't it say Ronin? But what if you want to display him as Hawkeye? So now you have the choice. I don't think it's magnet, but I think it probably is just like a sticker. For me, I might just rep Hawkeye, but it's nice to have the option. But taking off the top of this here, we do have the Ronin accessories because he does come with two different sets of hands, right? Hands? Yep, hands underneath there. A whole bunch of different gadgets like a baby knife, a different holster for his sword, a whole bunch of different tips for the arrows. Quite cool. We'll get a closer look at all this stuff for you after. You can see the hood that comes with there, like the swap out top look. Mine looks like it's been fondled aggressively. You got the cape and stuff down there, the quiver, right? What's the thing you put the arrows in? Quiver? Quiver? Comment below, archers, I guess. But let's pop out, well, first let's take a look at this one, because we'll grab a closer look at these in a second. But you have the hooded version with like the mask and everything, and then, which is what makes this the deluxe version, because it comes with the Ronin stuff. If you want to just get the standard version, I believe it just comes with just this regular figure, which we will pop out right now. Pop off that plastic. Ooh, boy, that looks good. Oh man, I mean, as much as I want to rep him as Ronin, yo, this looks pretty dang good. I'm not gonna lie to you. The knee pads, the gold. He's got a room for a baby knife in his boot, just like Deadpool. I like that. But yeah, dude, this is a great Hawkeye. And if there was gonna be any Hawkeye I'd get, it would be this one. Especially because they haven't come out with the purple Jeremy Renner Hawkeye from the Hawkeye television show, which I thought would have been like the final Hawkeye we would have gotten, but it's still not as cool as the Ronin one, let's be real. But yeah, no, this thing is legit. Oh, the crossbow around his forearm. I'll get a closer look in detail for you guys in a closer shot in a second, but ankle pegs, still some plastic all over him. How's he stand? Hey! Stands on his own, how about that? Nice little Hawkeye base. Comes with a crotch grabber, that's always a nice touch. I hate the flight pole waist grabbers. I like the simple crotch grabber much easier. It seems like it's not going to damage the suit as much. But let's pull everything out of this clamshell tray and show you everything that Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye / Ronin, the deluxe version from Hot Toys, comes with, and I'll give you a closer look at the head sculpt in this Hawkeye figure. Alright, so we have everything that the deluxe version of Hawkeye comes with laid out on the table, and we have his Ronin accessories and his regular Hawkeye accessories, and we'll go over all of them. First, in this little panel here, we have the little slot where this would be the holster for his sword, on his back for the Ronin stuff, but there's also a knife. There's also a little, just the, you know, handle of the knife that I have stored in his boot. We'll show you that more in a second. A couple of like these ninja star type things, and probably like, you know, a folded up ninja star. So then he like clicks that little button and they open up into like the 3 version here. Or maybe just, you know, like throwing star and then like a single throwing spike or something. A bunch of different arrowhead attachments, and you know, we'll go over those in more detail when we pull them out. But the arrow attachments only go on the longer arrows. There are 4 of them, so you can, you know, have 4 different longer arrows with 4 different attachments on them if you so pleased. But there's also the quiver that comes with the shorter arrows, and they fit in there just nicely as so, where these ones would stick up a little bit further. There is like kind of faux tips down in the bottom of the quiver, which I like, but they do kind of rattle in there and jingle jangle around. But you can see the 2 holes where it goes on his back and attaches, and that's how you attach the quiver. And then let's take a look at his bow. So we got his bow here, and this is a lefty bow. So this would be one he holds in his right hand. The bow arrow would go on this side, or maybe he could put it on that inside little clip thing there if he so pleased. But yeah, not a bad little bow. It's definitely different from Kate Bishop's bow. Hers was more wooden, where his is like this tactical bow. I'm not sure if these are supposed to be like lasers or like just like extra things for his bow, but yeah, he's got a couple of little things on the front of his bow up here as well. And yeah, not too bad. Not such a bad bow. The string is very string flexible, and it kind of does have that little bend effect when you pull back ever so slightly. Yeah, not a bad bow. Nice little accessory there. Take a look at a couple of his hands. You can see his right and left hands are different. His right hand, or I'm backwards. So his right hand, which is the black hand, it comes with like just like a little bit of gold detail around it, kind of like the Ronin armor, but the Ronin armor is slightly different. We'll look at that in a second. But I do like that he's got like these kind of pokey claw tip fingers, because he's still kind of like the Ronin. We'll look at it better on those hands. But yeah, he's got like these, you know, covers over his fingers, and these are definitely for like pulling back his bow. But you can see also the time travel device on his wrist there, or on the top of his hand, like in Avengers Endgame. But yeah, so he's got a glove for his bow hand, and then this is the pulling back the arrow hand. You can see this is definitely much more of like a pull back the arrow double finger. The bow arrow would go right in between those 2 fingers on the front there. I do like the style of his swap out gauntlets, and these are like more like armor, almost like medieval knight armor. And then the way that the hand sits perfectly underneath that, and then like kind of matches the armor, you know what I mean? So that's a nice little detail. But yeah, and so in the Ronin fig, he's got gloves on both hands, but on the normal Hawkeye fig, he's got 1 and 1. But they just changed the armor look ever so slightly, even though the glove is pretty much exactly the same as the other fig. Yeah, so the blade only goes in one way. If you try and put it in the other way, it does get kind of stuck, and it doesn't quite go in the way it should. You know, it feels like you're forcing it. But if you flip it around the other way, slides in just perfectly. Does leave just a bit of blade exposed at the top, but that's all right. I believe that's accurate to the movie. And then I believe this slides in his back just like so, and then he's able to pull out the blade. Yeah, not a bad looking blade though. Definitely resembles his Ronin blade. And you know, I don't love this quiver. You know, it almost feels like it should go in like this, no? You know what I mean? But no, it goes in this way for some reason. The Ronin jacket I have unzipped, ready to go for when I want to put it on the Hawkeye fig, but he also comes with a hood that has a wired hood, so it is posable and adjustable, so however you want to wear it. Kind of got these gold shoulder pads. Kind of got this gold trim around the bottom edge as well. And this velcros off so that you can strap that however you would like, and you know, take this off, slide this on, then re-zip up and re-buckle up. I believe I will be repping this figure in his Ronin attire, so I will show that at the end, because I definitely want to show off some of his just normal Hawkeye Avengers Endgame fit. But that head sculpt
looks pretty good. You know, I do see Jeremy Renner in there at some angles, but, you know, it's pretty much a fully masked character. Does the eye color match? Kinda, yeah. So that's all that really matters, because this thing's gonna be covered in shadow by the hood and anything, you know what I mean? So yeah, not a bad detailed little head sculpt and a little neck that comes with it for a little all black hooded Ronin fig. Taking a closer look at this display base, it does have a reflective A on the front and that Hawkeye logo in the middle there, and then it's got kind of more of a grippy side than the smoother, shinier side. It does come out with a Hawkeye Ronin thing, so I was even thinking, you know, when they're in like a bow and arrow stance with the crotch grabber, the base is kind of off to a side anyway, so what if I did that and did Hawkeye Ronin? Would that ruin it? Maybe. Even if you just taped over this, you know, like, sure, I guess it does blend in so that you don't necessarily see the original. And I thought maybe the edge you would see quite a bit, but maybe more in person than on camera. That doesn't look too bad. But yeah, so if you wanted to make it say Ronin, not Hawkeye, you could. Or if you wanted to get two of these and then put one as Hawkeye, one as Ronin, you could. I might end up doing that because I kind of do love the figure just as Hawkeye. I mean, come on, look at this fig. It looks great. I have him with his bow hand already in, you know, so it's got like these couple movable parts on his arm there, but you can just tighten those up and make that look better. And then he's got like a little bit of the bow shield on his wrist there, but like, you know, he's got his time travel device and just a fist in this hand, but he's got like that miniature crossbow with like working string, which is just crazy, on his forearm over here. And all these parts come off for like the Ronin stuff. You lift up the arm there and unzip this to take off this vest, but we'll show that when we're changing him out for the Ronin attire. But yeah, around the back, you can see where his quiver would go on, or his sword for the Ronin stuff, because you use the same strap for either outfit. You can see that little knife holster, you know, without the knife in it, to go into his little mini knife boot holster slot down at the bottom. Not bad. You can see the armor of like the Ronin style gauntlets kind of go down to the boots and the kneecaps, even on the normal fit, so he didn't change out the boots for that. So really the only thing that makes him Ronin is the hood and the jacket, you know, and mostly just upper body aesthetic stuff, because the lower body stays the same. A couple of straps on the inside. Yeah, I really like this figure, and that head sculpt. Let's talk more about that. The head sculpt, the Jeremy Renner head sculpt, looks really good. The only thing that would make this figure even greater for me is if they had like the tattooed arm exposed, right? Because like that was one of the coolest things. You know, we hadn't seen Hawkeye for a while since Avengers Infinity War, and he clearly took it worse than everybody else. You know, he says in Endgame, the world got Thanos, everyone else gets me. You know, like anybody that didn't die from Thanos is getting the Ronin that deserves to be dead. So he's hunting down everybody because he lost his family. And, you know, he shows up with a mohawk, with this crazy mohawk and swag and this tattooed sleeve. I was like, damn, Jeremy Renner, damn, Hawkeye, Clint, okay, I see you. You know, he went from like just being this normal background character to one of my favorite, most dripped out characters. I was like, okay, I absolutely love this. But yeah, let me get a couple of different poses for this guy and get some of his different, you know, accessories on him and get him posed up and looking nice, and, you know, see if I can't get him into a couple different poses for you guys, and see then if we can get the Ronin fit on him and what those accessories look like. And then we'll finish out this video with some figure comparisons, and then maybe try and find a spot for him on the shelf. But yeah, definitely reminds me of Jeremy Renner. Definitely is a decent head sculpt. You know, I've seen worse, I've seen some better, but if this is my only Hawkeye, I'm not mad at it. I might have to rep that Hawkeye head sculpt because that looks pretty damn good. So now we're gonna put on the Ronin outfit. So one of the first steps is you have to unzip this piece here and then take off his head, take off the strap, you know, pop them both off the side, take off all of the gauntlets and wrists and, you know, crossbow in hand on this side and this little piece here, and then swap out all of the Ronin armor, gauntlets, and hand pieces, and then see what he's looking like with the hood and the sword and the new mask and all that. And then I'll probably toss this head sculpt on the Ronin outfit as well. But just wanted to show the process of that. So first steps first, pop the head off. Then you can pop this little holster off. Then you can slide off. The vest is all one piece, fake zipper in the middle. The real zipper's down the side. But yeah, so that's what you end up with. And then you just take off the hands and the wrist stuff and then slide on the new coat. And I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so we got Hawkeye here in some different poses. The first one here, we have Hawkeye in his normal Hawkeye fit, holding his bow, aiming his wrist crossbow. And then the second pose, we have a couple of ninja throwing stars in his left hand, also kind of more of a neutral pose. And then we got a closer look at some of his trick arrows. And then we have him shooting one of his trick arrows, you know, aiming down the sights of his bow. I don't love the all black bow, but I do really quite like the Hawkeye fit. But the next look, we have now the Ronin suit, and the sword is holstered, but he's got a couple ninja stars in his hand. And the Ronin suit is quite cumbersome and a pain to get on and get that zipper zipped up. But, you know, just take your time and don't get angry and just keep going. And eventually it will zip up properly and look fine. And I actually quite like the Ronin look as well. So this might be one of those figures that I end up with two of. And then we have the Clint head sculpt with the Ronin suit, knife in hand, but reaching for his sword. And then we have the Ronin cleaning blood off his sword look, which is just like a nice pose from that movie. If there was maybe a little blood on the sword, I would have kept him in this pose. But then I have him now in his final look, in his final pose that I will probably keep him in for at least the time being. And that is his Ronin ready for action pose. He's got his knife in one hand ready to go, the sword down at his side, ready for action, baby, with the Ronin mask and the hood up. Yeah, not a bad looking fig. I actually quite like the Ronin suit. I really like the Hawkeye suit as well. So, you know, I'm not one for getting multiple of the same outfit for the same character, right? Like I have a couple different Spider-Mans, but they're all different outfits. So I justify it that way. I have a couple different Thors. They're all different outfits. You know, it works out. But for me now, you know, I have two Captain Americas, original Avengers, and Endgame. So for me, this Endgame Hawkeye is definitely one of the best, if not the best Hawkeye they have put out. And if they end up putting the Hawkeye out from the Hawkeye TV series, I might have to go grab that, and then that will be my Hawkeye. But, you know, say that fig isn't that good, or maybe they never end up doing it, that I might end up with two of these Avengers Endgame deluxe versions of Hawkeye and have one be the solo standard version and then now the deluxe version Ronin, and kind of have them side by side. Maybe I can switch out the nameplate for Hawkeye into the Ronin sticker for that one, so then I can have a Hawkeye and then a Ronin and have two different, because the suits are different enough that, like, you know, it does change the look of the character quite a bit. You know, so I don't know, maybe I will end up swapping out this Ronin suit and putting on the normal suit and going that route and putting them back to Hawkeye at some point and switching it up every now and again. But to be honest with you, how bad it was to zip up that jacket after, you know, trying to get it on, it would be a nightmare for me to try and do that all over again, you know? Like, and take it off, then maybe not like it and want to put it back. You know, so at this point, I might as well go the route of buying an entire second fig just to have the Hawkeye version, so I don't have to take the Ronin jacket off this figure. But that's just maybe laziness, but also, you know, might be convenience-wise too for me. It might be easier. But I say this sexy looking figure we toss next to some of the other Hot Toys figures from Avengers Endgame and maybe some of Hawkeye Clint Barton's friends from the Avengers movies. So one of my other favorite people from Avengers Endgame, and this bro Thor, big fat Thor fig with all the lightning effects all over him, one of my favorite figures. And, you know, I'm thinking Hawkeye may go on a different shelf, but I'm thinking he is an Avengers Endgame figure, so might as well go with some of my other Avengers Endgame stuff. And there's kind of a spot for him on that shelf, where on the other shelf I'd have to make room for him. but, you know, looking pretty good next to Thor. But let's toss him next to the Captain. Oh, Captain, my Captain. We have Captain America now next to the Ronin Hawkeye. And I'm trying to think, do we see Clint Barton's Hawkeye actually fighting in Endgame like this? Or maybe he had no mask on, he just had his head sculpt. I vaguely remember him laying on the ground like, like hurting. Oh, and that scene where he's carrying the glove and, running away from all of those, like, whatever they called him, like, rough riding troop, like, they were like animals, but they were like Thanos' troops. But yeah, no, I really liked the pop of color next to Hawkeye. So let's do a couple other figure comparisons, and maybe the next one will be another pop of color next to this all black. I do really like the black and gold, but it's nice when you look at the shelf and you got this nice big pop of color like this next character. So I don't know if either of these characters will ever bump into each other in any Marvel movie ever, but I figured they're both kind of the sword specialist, right? Kind of, well, Wade is, I guess, a mutant now. He's not necessarily a normal guy anymore. He's definitely got the X gene in him running through him, making sure that cancer doesn't kill him, right? But I don't know, something about the all red with the gold accents with the black and gold. I kind of like the way these guys look next to each other. Maybe I'll have to set up like a sword fighting scene between the two of them in the future. I think that'd be funny. Or maybe that will happen in the movies. I'd love to see Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, losing his mind, like, oh my God, it's Clint Barton, Hawkeye, and Clint just being like, who the hell are you? And him just being like, oh, you don't know yet, but I'm gonna be big, baby. Like, I don't know. Deadpool is just too funny. So I really, as much as I want to see him only, in his own movies and maybe with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, I kind of want to see him bumping up against normal characters like Hawkeye, I don't know. Comment below your thoughts. Do you think Deadpool would work in an Avengers movie, or would he just feel out of place in like this, cursed child that doesn't belong? I don't know. Maybe, but maybe that's Deadpool's vibe. Oh, now this one's just sad. In memory of Black Widow, and Clint's dropped her ass, and God. What a heartbreaking scene. So now I almost need to get the Endgame Black Widow to put next to this Endgame Hawkeye so that I can do that scene where Black Widow sacrifices herself for everybody, and Clint wanted to, but she was just a little bit better than he was. And oh God, heartbreaking scene, man. I almost don't even want to go watch Endgame right now and cry all over again. Oh wait, yes I do. That's exactly what I'm thinking about doing after I'm done recording this video. But I have one more figure comparison before we toss this bad boy on the shelf. So the final comparison here with Kate Bishop Hawkeye next to her mentor Clint Barton Hawkeye. And oh God, I really do love the way that her purple suit pops. The Haley Steinfeld fig just looks so good. That material on that suit feels really good. The bow, some of her accessories, I wish she came with a little bit more. But overall, that character is pretty damn good. And standing next to Hawkeye works a lot. But, it's not necessarily the Hawkeye from the Disney Plus show. So I don't think I can put this Hawkeye next to Kate Bishop. If I get Clint Barton's Hawkeye from the Hawkeye Disney Plus series, yeah, I think that will work out a lot better. But for the time being, I'm sitting here going, you know what? I think this is an Endgame Hawkeye. Kate Bishop wasn't around by Endgame. So I'm thinking that this Clint, or really Ronin, should go more so with the Avengers Endgame figs. And maybe in the future when that Hawkeye from Hawkeye series comes out, hopefully it comes with the Lucky the Pizza Dog as well. And then I can have all three of them next to each other rather than just a close-ish Hawkeye next to Kate Bishop. I probably should have grabbed a comparison to the normal Hawkeye Standard Edition next to Kate Bishop as well. But if you want to see that, you can see that comparison in the Kate Bishop unboxing video that came out yesterday. So nice little Hawkeye and Hawkeye dual unboxing weekend for the Marvel 1/6 scale Hot Toys for me. And yeah, adding some dope ass figures to the collection. So let's toss this bad boy on the shelf and then close out this video. All right, so we snuck the bad boy Clint in there in front of Daredevil, kind of getting a little crowded over here, but I like that you can still just see Daredevil up there in the corner, Hulk in the back, the Ragnarok Stan Lee and Gladiator Thor as well in front of him, Endgame Cap and Tony always looking good, along with Endgame Clint, friggin' Hawkeye now. Really like that way that figure's looking. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Comment below if you think maybe this figure should go somewhere else, maybe over on this shelf with Kate Bishop and Black Widow and this gang of people now. But, you know, just a couple weeks ago, this spot was free, that spot was free, and it was just Wanda and Vision up there, and they were all lonely. So now, you know, we got a spider shelf. We got, you know, I called this the, you know, what's going to happen to them shelf. You know, who knows if they'll come back shelf. We got our boy Deadpool down here, still waiting for Wolverine to be released, so I can stack that figure right there when that comes out. Can't wait. And we also have these Avengers fingers down here, along with Endgame Loki, technically, and Falcon Winter Soldier Bucky. So nice little figures there. Some Lego sets in the background, some Avengers stuff. Black Panther. Yeah, not a bad looking shelving room. Comment below your thoughts. I'd love to know what you guys think, and which figure do you think should come next, and honestly, if so, who and where would he go? Maybe slide this stuff back, put some stuff on the edge there, who knows. I do have some room back there that these shelves do go pretty deep, and I have these guys mostly up on the edge, and they are pretty heavy, so maybe I do need to slide that back, maybe elevate Darth Vader up a little bit so his cape is kind of like in that area there. Who knows? But thank you guys so much for joining me. My name's Big Cam, and this has been another 1/6 scale Hot Toys figure unboxing. Make sure you guys hit the bell so you don't miss next weekend's Hot Toys figure unboxing, and you'll get the notifications when those come out. And if you made it this far and you'd like to support the channel, the best way to do that is liking this video, subscribing if you haven't, commenting down below, and sharing this with a friend is the best way to get the video out into the algorithm, and making sure the channel keeps growing and supporting it. And I really appreciate everybody that's come on by. If you'd like to follow my other social medias, links for those down in the description below. And once again, my name is Big Cam, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Peace.